Greetings and welcome to SmartWatchTicks.com. It's official, folks. Sinbono. Sinbono is now the most diversified watch company on the planet. They do everything from Android smartwatches, health and fitness smartwatches, and now this revolutionary new blood pressure cuff smartwatch that's actually using a bladder in here that fills up with air and takes your blood pressure the old traditional way, but instead of in your upper arm, it happens at your wrist. Oh, and it does all kinds of other things as well. For example, let's run through it. First of all, you can pick this up directly from the Sinbono official store on AliExpress. Really decent price, just a bit over $100 for a full-on blood pressure cuff mechanism. You see here, the bladder fills with air and then decreases, measures your overall blood pressure, supposedly for higher accuracy, but as always, check it against a really calibrated instrument or your doctor's blood pressure when they take it. Make sure that it's working right for you. Here are the overall specs. It's called the Pump1, yep, the Air Pump1, and it's got an air pump inflation blood pressure monitoring system built into it. You can hear the little motor go when you turn it on. It's amazing. Heart rate monitoring, true blood oxygen monitoring. It's got dynamic heart rate, sleep monitoring, step counting, multi-sport mode as well. You've got family sharing, health management. It even purports to have ECG, but I'm going to tell you right off the bat, it's not real. I'm sorry. It's just not. You don't touch electrodes to make it work, so you can just scratch that one off. Don't even try. You got call push and information push, the typical kind of push response you get from a smartwatch. Overall specifications, here's the different functions. Chronograph, that's your timepiece, just seeing the time of day. RAM, SIM card, no. This is your basic stuff that AliExpress has all these companies fill out. Life waterproof, which doesn't really mean much. And because it's got this whole blood pressure thing, I would not get it wet, honestly. It's a 1.32-inch size diameter display with 360 by 360 resolution. So it comes in this really exquisite leather-like box. You know, hey, all you other watch companies, start doing this. This is presentation worthy, especially for like expensive Android smartwatches. This is what they should be in, not that silly cardboard black box that everybody uses. You got a regular charging connector on here. It's a 2-pin magnetic type. It's in a little peculiar area, but that's because you got the bladder here. You see it's way over here on the side, and you actually have to touch it like this to get it to attach. So be careful when you charge it. Make sure it's working. It's not in the normal places simply because that bladder kind of gets in the way. You've got a little triangular quality control tag in here. These are empty. There's nothing in here. They stuck the manual way up in a little insert on the top. And going through this is one of those manuals we really need to follow carefully. To do it right, you're going to rest for 5 minutes before this test. A lot of folks are throwing their blood pressure watches on while they're working out and expecting to get valid readings. It doesn't work that way, not for blood pressure. Here's how you charge the watch. There's the QR code for FitCloud Pro. You can scan it right on your screen right now and download it, and I recommend you go to the Google Play Store and look for FitCloud Pro, or use the link we have in the show notes. It'll take you there. When you connect it, you're going to get all of the action for synchronizing back and forth between, including the blood pressure readings. Here's how you do the test. You're going to hold it near your heart level, keep quiet, and you activate it and wait for the cuff to expand. We're going to show you that. And then it'll give you its reading, systolic over diastolic. You got blood pressure records, all of your tests that you've done. And of course, you got heart rate, blood oxygen. Again, Don't even get involved with ECG. You do have sleep monitoring on it and some sports modes. There's no GPS, but you do get, of course, your step count when you're doing walking or running, stuff like that. You got music, remote player, and messages pushed from your phone, stopwatch and timer. And it handles the female period tracking. So as usual, I register as a female in the apps. Otherwise, oftentimes that won't show up on the actual app itself if you've registered as a male. Here's some common problems you might experience with this one, some disclaimers, and then we go into the Chinese manual, which is done that way. Pretty ingenious. All right, I'm going to charge it up for you. It's got a cover that is in Chinese that tells you how to hold yourself with properly to do the measurement. And we can pop that cover off as well. You got 2 buttons on it. There's no Bluetooth calling, so no speaker or microphone. And then this bladder and all of your sensors down here, both red and green, for all of the other readings. We're going to start by showing you how to put this thing on, because it's a little bit different than other watches. First of all, you have this amazing bladder, and it has a little bump in it right there. When you start to open it, there's some motor in here that's going to fill it with air, and there's some sort of a sensor system in here to feel for your actual pulse in your wrist under pressure, just like a regular cuff blood pressure device does. So here's what I recommend. You turn it so that you have the buttons on the right, because you're going to be wearing it on your left wrist. Then you bring your hand in here, you bring it up, you curve it around and bring the watch right into position. That automatically stretches and straightens out the bladder and puts it in its right position. Now, when you've got the bladder there, then you can put the band on, and that's simple. We've got a lot of holes in here, so it'll fit a lot of different people. You bring it up to a comfortable position, not too tight, and let it fall in a hole. So you got a little bit of play in here, because this is going to expand and be compressed by the band and your wrist to create that tightness that will allow it to sense the constriction of the blood flow through your body. Make sense? So press on the upper button as typical, turns it on, give it a moment, vibrates, says hello, and it'll pop us into our watch face, which also, by the way, has blood pressure and heart rate on it. This is a customized stock face for this particular watch. Really interesting. Let's walk through a little bit about this one. When you pull it down, you've got all these controls that do not disturb. You've got your brightness level control you can change there. And overall settings, this is find your phone and information about the watch. In the settings, you have a few different menu styles, which are just simple changes in the layout. You have your display where you can change to different watch faces. Most of them are typical analog, a couple of digital ones. This is one I downloaded from the app. It shows you everything: heart rate, blood oxygen, blood pressure. It's all there. So quite a few options available through the app, but you can only download one at a time. In addition to this, in the settings, you've got your overall brightness level, which we already saw, your screen time up to 9 seconds for how long it will stay lit, and when you twist your wrist to see the time, how long will it stay lit doing that. Of course, the longer you make it, the less your battery level will be. But they compensate for that by having a power savings mode. If you turn that on, it disconnects Bluetooth and reduces your overall power level. So if you don't need to tether to your phone, you can activate that. It's pretty good. You can have soft, strong, or off for vibration, and languages supported include your Chinese, English, and a few other ones. Not a whole lot. Some European languages, but it's got some. And QR code for downloading the app. You can password protect it. The system info is in here. It's called the Pump1. Shut down, reset the watch if you want to, and that is everything. So from the watch face, hello, come back here. Here we go. If I swipe to the right, I get this panel that gives you your temperature. You can activate different activities: walking, running, climbing, all the different workout activity you can do, and your most recently used apps are showing up there. It's on there for a brief moment and then it'll disappear, supposedly. Well, I guess you can swipe it back. Okay. What else? Come this way. You got all the different cards you can set up. I can do blood pressure, and I can look at my last readings, and I've been messing around with making a watch too tight, and sure enough, it doesn't work well. So you want to have that little bit of give in here so there's some room for this thing to expand. You got heart rate if you want, and I say if you want, there's last night's sleep time, step count, and temperature. If you want, you can add other things in here or rearrange these or take some of them away. So ECG, which again is not real, it's just simulated, or blood oxygen you can add to it as well. As many as you want or as few as you want. Then from here you can tap this one, get your overall workout information. We saw all of the different things that you could do, and workout records if you have any. This is your basic step count data that you see. Heart rate, ECG, sleep, we saw all of that, blood pressure records, your blood oxygen, messages pushed from your phone, weather in your area, no forecast, but basic information. Female is your cycle information that will show up if you are registered as a female in the app, which of course I do these days, so if it's supported, you'll see that. You got a music player. It won't play the music through the watch because you don't have a speaker, but it will play control it from the phone. You've got a basic stopwatch in here, hundredths of a second, and it's locked so you can't leave it, but you can do split times and you can stop it. You've got a timer, alarm clocks, find your phone, and again, overall settings, which are what we already looked at, the password, the QR code, the menu style, everything else there. That was from this button. And finally, the bottom button is an instant access to the blood pressure reading process. Now let's set up for that. Hit start measuring. Give it a moment, it'll zero everything out, start building up the pressure in here. The motor is grinding away a little bit to get that calibrated connection to my wrist. Now you see the number increasing. Oh, you see if I move my wrist, it causes it to malfunction. So you really got to be slow on this one. I'm going to try it again. Start measurement. Actually, I'm just going to lightly hold on to my other arm and let's see what happens. Hold as still as possible. Try to be quiet. Let's get a good reading here. That's a bit high, but I'm in an awkward position, so yeah, it's below my heart, which means there'd be more pressure down lower. It really is sensitive, so you're going to want to take a reading with it at the proper height and relaxed in order to get a valid number. So what about our other readings? We come back over here. Let's go into our settings and look at heart rate, for examples, right here. And that immediately goes in and starts doing a heart rate reading. It's using green diode technology, as we're accustomed to, not the Bladder at all for doing the blood pressure. So heart rate's there. Then if you switch over and do blood oxygen, it also jumps in, and I was messing around with it, so ignore my low readings. I like to just kind of see how things work on these. It's using the red diode there, and I should be in the 95 to 100 range typically when it gives you your reading, and there you go. So that's doing its thing. And then what else? We said we had the ECG on here. I don't see it right now, but I'll just let you know that when you do this, it appears to be trying to do something, and it will give you a heart rate, and it's using green diode technology, which has nothing to do with ECG. There's no electrode connection for across the heart. So the numbers that you get are basically your heart rate from standard heart rate measurement. In the app, I'll show you briefly, the charts are all identical. There is no reference change when you're measuring it with it connected to you, so you can ignore basically the ECG function on this one. Speaking of app, let's switch over there. Again, from the Google Play Store, you're looking for FitCloud Pro. You open that, you get it all set up, and you'll open up onto this page. When you've got your watch connected, it's going to attempt to synchronize the data. Here it goes. Give you your updated step count information. All of the other stuff is in here. This gives you your steps per hour through today, the weekly, and the monthly. Women's menstrual cycle gives you the entire calendar with the date identified and the date of the cycle starting that you put in here manually. Ladies, you know all about that. Last night's sleep time is right here. You get different blocks of it, deep and light sleep. No REM tracking, but awake and light, deep, overall sleep when you went to bed, when you woke up. That's in it. Very nice. So you can wear it to bed and use it for all of that stuff. Here's our heart rate. There we go. Your heart rate is here. You can do a remote reading, hitting start. That'll activate it. And here's your last readings that you took with the app. Then you've got your blood pressure readings. And here they are, all kittywampus, because I've just been playing around with it. But when you do, like I say, calibrate it and set still and let it go, it should work out fine. Now, I've started it up here, and I just want you to see the bladder in action. You see it's starting to puff up? So that's what's around your arm, and then it's going to continue to inflate until it gets to the point where it constricts your blood flow, and that's where it gets its measurement from. So we can bail out of that one because we're not connected. But it does work, and you can do it remotely. So if you need to put this on somebody and monitor them remotely, you can definitely do that. Blood oxygen, same thing. I can start it, and we should see the red diode is lighting up down there to do the blood oxygen reading. It takes a minute. It'll run it for, and then give you the final value. And here's that silly ECG thing. If you look at this chart, the chart is exactly the same. Now it's going to make some loud noise on here. If I hit start, okay, I have volume turned off, so it's not going to be annoying, but it's giving you a beep, 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 and you see the watch isn't even on my arm. It's activated the process, not even touching it, so I'm not giving it any electrical signal whatsoever, but you're getting what looks like a legitimate chart. It runs for 30 seconds. It gives you some really interesting data, and to me it looks like they've been working on the layout for the app, that this is how they can do this, but they're interfacing it into a pseudo fictitious file which would represent an ECG, and either they didn't turn that file off and connect it directly to the sensor in the watch, or they're just trying to mess with us. Because you get a health index, fatigue, mental pressure, all these fun things, but they basically are invalid. Here's all these other readings. You can start playback, but the charts are exactly the same. So I don't want to belabor it, just tell you, do not trust the ECG. This is not for doing that. But those are all the things you get on this page. Health measurement runs through, and it measures them all, apparently, at the same time, which is kind of cool. You have your device. That's the name of it. Push notifications, alarms, your sedentary reminders. Here's your overall dial library. Now again, this is a blood pressure watch, so a couple of the faces have blood pressure on them, and the stock ones, but most of the faces with this app are for watches that don't have that capability. So either they have nothing, just time, maybe time and date, or if they do have something, they may have step count and heart rate. But you have a variety of different faces. Any of them you want to see closer, you can touch it and it'll come up bigger. And of course you can sync it, and that'll replace the one that you have installed here with the one that you choose. You can only put one extra one in there. But they got lots and lots and lots of them. My dial is so you can make a custom dial with your own picture if you want to. You can have weather reports on here, raise your wrist to see the time. It can monitor elevated heart rate, hourly, 12, 24-hour, left or right hand, which would affect the ECG chart if you were getting a real one using the electrodes across your heart. I mean, it's all set up to do it right. It's just a matter, I just have problems with that ECG. Here we go. You can tie this to Google Fit if you want to. Set your goals, your overall units, metric or imperial are available on here. There's the women's health where you can set up the length of periods and stuff to get accurate results. You can tie it to We Run. Other settings, run in the background version, update, all that's here. And that's basically the overall app itself. So simple app, really honed in for being able to remotely activate the device. And of course, this one's got the special bladder for doing the blood pressure. And one more time, it's called the Air Pump1. It's coming to us from Sinbono, and it's available through a link in the show notes from the AliExpress site at the Sinbono official store. These guys are pumping out, literally, a bunch of different watches. We just reviewed 2 or 3 or 4 recent ones of theirs, all different. And this is the first time we've seen them move into this. We did review a watch that had this bladder for doing a blood pressure a while back. I think it was called the Doctor something or other. I'll have a link for you. You can go look at that review as well. But this is the first time a mainstream China watch company has adopted that technology and put it out. So good to see there's movement and diversification and innovation still happening through all of this COVID period, that we hopefully are going to have a variety of new devices with new features coming out soon, starting right now with this special advanced blood pressure reading watch. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you again soon.